just is in this area, and they hit a reef in Cape Tribulation, and with great deal of skill and luck, they managed to get the boat, which was leaking very badly, into what is now Cooktown, to repair it. Well, while they were there repairing the boat, they sent a little boat to look for a passage through all the reefs. And the boat kept going out and looking for passages, and they couldn't find any. And in the end they had to decide whether to keep going northwards or turn back. And the first mate was for turning back, because if they kept going through the narrow channels in the reef, they could easily run into a dead end, and as they didn't have an engine or anything, and it takes quite a bit of space to turn a boat that size around, they could easily get stuck somewhere where they wouldn't be able to escape. But nevertheless, Captain Cook pressed on, and it really reminds me of a spiritual journey, how you're going through all these reefs and there is no map, nobody can tell you where to go, no possibility, a possibility that you just get stuck, and no certainty you make through, but all the time there's this like straight wind that just drives you onwards.
First of all, there's a reminder of an old story of that elderly monk who wandered slowly in deep contemplation beside a small hillock. And as he was walking, all of a sudden a great voice boomed out and said, "All beings must die." And the old monk nodded his head sagely in agreement. He knew this. But as he walked further, the great booming voice said once again, "This is the law." And the old monk walked and nodded in agreement. He knew this also. But then as he walked on further, the booming voice spoke out again and said, "There is something beyond this." And tears began to flow down the old monk's face. He longed to know this ultimate truth. But now his curiosity was piqued. So, trying to find where the voice came from, he walked up the hill, and there, when he looked, seemed to be a deep caldera, an infinite abyss. And as he peered, it seemed like there was deep down there a dragon's mouth with flames coming out. But just then the voice spoke again. "If you want to know this truth, you must throw yourself down, and it will be revealed to you without hesitation. the old monk threw himself into the deep abyss. And so it was, as he fell, revealed to him. A long time ago, in old Baghdad, there was a man called Nuruddin. He was a maker of rope. Every day he twisted the strands to make the ropes of all different kinds, but he barely made enough to keep his family. One day, 2 sheikhs came into the little shop at the front of his house. One was very verbose, very talkative, and the other was a good listener. They were carrying on a conversation, and the talkative one said to the listening one, "You know, mankind is driven by the vicissitudes of life. Fate can turn just like that." And the quiet sheikh said, "Tell me more. I'm listening." The talkative one said, "Well, look at this rope seller. With a little twist of fate, someone giving him a boon, he could hire some helpers and make his fortune." Well, the rope maker could not help but hear this conversation, and he said to the sheikh, "I cannot help but overhear what it is that you're saying, but how can this be? From where would this boon come?" And the first sheikh said, "Well, it so happens that I have been blessed with an abundance of wealth. And if you tell me how much you would need to hire people, improve your shop, I will give it to you." The rope maker was somewhat overwhelmed, but he did a very quick calculation and came up with a sum. Immediately, the first sheikh felt under his cloak and brought out a bag of gold pieces, which was just exactly the amount that the rope maker had quoted to him. The sheikh handed it over. He said, "I cannot take it." The sheikh said, "Please, say no more. We will come back in a week or so and see how it goes with you." Well, the rope maker was greatly excited, but it was now evening time, and he thought to himself he could do nothing, although plans were whirling around in his head. So he decided that he had to hide the gold coins, because surely robbers would see it if he left it out in the open. So it so happened that there was a jar of flour that his wife had purchased to make bread. So he hid the gold coins amongst the flour in the jar, and he left it. He went off to the coffee shop and spent a delicious time planning what it was that he was going to do with the gold. And then he went home and lay himself down to sleep. Next morning, when he went to reclaim